Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to yet another live session on current affairs. Welcome to Talent Sprint. This time we are going to see the recapitulation of the recap of the events that happened in India and worldwide between the period 8th of July 2017 and the 12th of July 2017. As always, in all our current affairs sessions, this will be divided into 6 segments. We'll first see the national news, followed by the international news, then the news on banking, economy and finance, then the news on science and technology, other current affairs, and finally followed by the sports news. And let me reiterate that this session is not a teaching session, but a recap of the events that went by in the last week in India and abroad. As usual, I will first read out to you the various events that happened in the last period between the 8th and 12th of July, and then thereafter I'll take any questions that you may have to ask of me. So we first begin with the national news. The government has told the businessmen to print the expiry date, net quantity on the labels of food in big size. Government has made it mandatory for manufacturing companies to print details like expiry date and net quantity on labels on all prepackaged foods in a bigger font size. The Consumer Affairs Ministry has said these changes have been effected through an amendment to the legal metrology packaged commodities rules of 2011. 5 declarations must be printed on the label. These include the maximum retail price or the MRP, the manufacturing date, the expiry date, the net quantity, and the consumer care details. The businessmen would be well advised to follow these rules immediately so that they are not caught on the wrong foot. Moving on, Supreme Court restrains further counseling or admissions to IITs through the IIT JEE Advance. Of course, this news item has been further updated in a later segment of this video, whereby this restraint has been lifted. The Supreme Court on the 8th of July restrained the further counseling on admissions to seats in the IIT JEE Advance 2017 until further orders. The Apex Court said no High Court should entertain any petition from the 8th of July concerning the IIT JEE Advanced counseling. A 2-judge bench issued the order after a petitioner cited errors in one set of question papers challenging the admission process. The students were awarded grace marks as the answer key to the 7 questions were missing. As I told you, this has subsequently been amended, as we will see in the later portion of this video presentation, whereby this counseling stay has been lifted by the Supreme Court. We will see that in a later video, in a later slide. The no detention policy to be removed from the next academic year. The Human Resources Development Ministry has decided to remove the no detention policy for students from the next academic year. Under the Right to Education Act, no child will be detained or held back in any class or expelled till the completion of elementary education covering classes 1 to 8. This is the latest ruling on the no detention policy from the HRD Ministry. In a boost to tourism in Ahmedabad and in Gujarat in general, the UNESCO has declared Ahmedabad as a World Heritage City. Ahmedabad city has been declared as a World Heritage City at the 41st session of the UNESCO's World Heritage Committee meeting being held in Krakow in Poland. Nomination of Ahmedabad was supported by close to 20 countries, including Turkey, Lebanon, Tunisia, Portugal, Peru, and Kazakhstan. The secular coexistence of Islamic, Hindu, and Jain communities, along with exemplary architecture of wooden Havelis, got unanimous support from the committee. Congratulations, Ahmedabad, on being declared a World Heritage City. It's a matter of great pride for India that one more heritage site in this country has been added to the UNESCO site of World Heritage Sites, UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites. Maharashtra has decided to adopt the Andhra pattern of loan waiver implementation. The Maharashtra government will adopt the Andhra Pradesh pattern of loan waiver implementation to plug systematic corruption and to ensure that the fruits of debt waiver reach the actual beneficiaries. a digital platform will be adopted to transfer the money to avoid corruption and misuse of taxpayers' money. Meanwhile, the Minister for Marketing, Subhash Deshmukh, will be appointed as the head of the Committee on Implementation of the Loan Waiver Scheme in the next few days. So that is a good thing that Maharashtra has decided to adopt the Andhra Pradesh pattern of loan waiver implementation. And if it can waive off corruption, or if it can hold off corruption as it is intended to, it is indeed going to be a great news for the beneficiaries. For then, the beneficiaries, the real beneficiaries, will get direct credit of the loan waiver. Moving on, Jigyasa, a student scientist contact program, has been launched. Jigyasa, a student scientist connect program, has been launched by the central government in New Delhi. The program would be implemented by the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, or CSIR. The main focus of this program is to connect school students and scientists, as well as to extend the students' classroom learning to a very well-planned research laboratory-based learning. I'm sure it is going to be of great use to the students in their efforts to connect with the scientists across the country. The next item of the national news in the national news segment for this period between the 8th of July and the 12th of July 2017 is that India has declared itself free from the H5N1 and H5N8 bird flu virus. India has declared itself free from the highly pathogenic avian influenza H5N1 and H5N8 after surveillance in the states showed no evidence of its presence. It has been notified to the World Organization for Animal Health, or OIE. The surveillance was carried out throughout the country since completion of the operation, including culling, disinfection and cleanup, and surveillance in the states showed no evidence of the presence of the avian influenza virus. It's a good thing that India is now free from the H5N1 and H5N8 bird flu, for this was a topic of hot discussion for some time last year and the year before last. The next item on the national news segment is that the President has launched the Swayam Prabha and National Academic Depository. President Pranab Mukherjee launched 3 digital initiatives, Swayam Prabha and the National Academic Depository in New Delhi on the 9th of July to push e-education in the country. The aim of the initiatives is to raise the gross enrollment ratio in the higher education from 24.5 to 30 by the year 2020. Massive open online courses in Swayam will host courses taught in classrooms from the 9th standard to post-graduation, which can be assessed by the students at anyone at any time. It will target those students who could not complete their studies and professionals who wish to upgrade their knowledge. I'm sure this is a great scheme which has been launched and is going to be of use to the entire academic community as well. Moving on, the next item is that India plans to invite the leaders of the ASEAN countries for the 2018 Republic Day celebrations. India has planned to invite the 10 leaders of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, as the chief guests for the 2018 Republic Day celebrations to be held on the 26th of January 2018. This plan has come at a time when India is engaged in a standoff with China in the Sikkim sector. If invited, Republic Day 2018 will be the first Republic Day event that will have so many leaders as the chief guests at the same time. Let's hope this materializes. The EESL is to invest 11,000 crores in Tamil Nadu. The Union Minister for Power, Piyush Goyal, has said that the Central Public Sector Unit Energy Efficiency Services Limited, or EESL, will invest 11,000 crore rupees in Tamil Nadu over the next 3 years. The scheme of giving solar pumps for farming will be extended to cover the whole country very soon. Mr. Piyush observed that the Uday scheme has enabled the Tamil Nadu Discom to reduce its debt burden from nearly 14,000 crores in 2013-14 to about 3,783 crores last year. As a prelude to the second or third slide in this session on the IIT JEE counselling. This news comes as Supreme Court vacates stay on counselling and admissions in IITs through the JEE 2017 advance. The Supreme Court on the 10th of July vacated the stay on counselling and admission in IITs through the JEE 2017. The Apex Court also asked High Courts not to interfere in petitions regarding counselling and admission to IITs to avoid any confusion. The court has asked the IITs to give an undertaking that such mistakes in question papers that force litigation will not recur and no situation to award bonus marks will arise in future. Let's hope that this matter is resolved once and for all. The Urban Development and Housing Ministry has got a new name. MOHUA is the new name for the Urban Development and Housing Ministry. The government has merged the Ministries of Urban Development and Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation. A new name has been given to the merged entity and is going to be called the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. This is the third time that the ministries have been merged. The next news is that the government has decided to organize a global food fair in November 2017. The government is going to organize a global food fair in November 2017 in Delhi. The food fair will be organized to provide a platform to Indian farmers and manufacturers so that they can showcase their products and explore partnerships with foreign companies. The 3-day World Food India 2017 is being organized on between the 3rd of November and the 5th of November 2017 by the Food Processing Ministry. Moving on, in the next item is that the group of ministers approves the draft national policy for women. A group of ministers headed by the External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj has approved a national policy for women. The policy provides for free education for girls from poor families and a health card for all women. The draft National Policy for Women 2017 also moots that a woman accused of a non-heinous crime who has remained under trial for 1/3 of her jail time should be given bail. This draft national policy has been sent to the President for his approval. The Supreme Court has suspended the centre's nationwide ban on cattle trade for slaughter. The Supreme Court has said the interim direction of the Madras High Court staying the centre's notification banning sale and purchase of cattle from animal markets for slaughter will remain in force and will cover the entire country. A bench headed by Chief Justice J.S. Khekar took notice of the statement of the central government that it is reconsidering the notification by taking into account various objections and suggestions of stakeholders and will come up with an amended notification. The centre had, in May 2017, issued the notification banning sale and purchase of cattle from animal markets for slaughter. In the race to the vice presidential elections to be held on the 5th of August 2017, the opposition has announced that Gopal Krishna Gandhi will be the candidate for the vice president post. Former West Bengal Governor Gopal Krishna Gandhi is the opposition's pick for the post of vice president. Mr. Gandhi's name was selected during the meeting of 18 opposition parties which met to decide on their candidate for the vice presidential polls. The process of filing nominations for the vice presidential poll started on the 4th of this month and will end on the 18th of this month. Polling for the vice president's post will take place on the 5th of August if required. The Maharashtra government has come out with a very innovative scheme called the Free Injectable Contraceptive for Women. On the occasion of the World Population Day, which was on the 11th of July 2017, the Maharashtra government has launched a free injectable contraceptive for women. Named Antara, this injection is to prevent unwanted pregnancies. Maharashtra is the first state in the country to launch such a scheme. That's all we have for you in the national news segment. We now move on to the next segment of this video on current affairs, the live session on current affairs, and that is on the international news. The first item on the international news is that the G20 countries have agreed for action. Leaders of the G20 countries agreed for swift action and targeted exchange of information on terrorism and its financing. In a statement released at the end of the first day of the 12th G20 summit in Hamburg in Germany, the member countries decided to take concrete steps to stop funding of the terror activities. The leaders also decided that the private sector will also be involved in the global efforts to counter terror financing. 122 countries have adopted the global treaty banning nuclear weapons. A global treaty banning nuclear weapons was adopted at the United Nations recently. The treaty was adopted by a vote of 122 countries in favor, with one country, the Netherlands, voting against, while Singapore abstained. Costa Rica's Ambassador Eileen White Gomez, the president of the UN conference that negotiated the treaty, said that we have managed to sow the first seeds of a world free of nuclear weapons. Let's hope this becomes a reality very soon, for nuclear arsenal is indeed dangerous to the very existence of mankind. Moving on in international news, the United States, Japan, and South Korea have sought additional UNSC sanctions against North Korea. The US, Japan, and South Korea today sought additional UN Security Council sanctions against the North Korean regime to send a message that there will be consequences for its destabilizing actions. The demand came after a meeting between the US President Donald Trump, his South Korean counterpart Moon Jae-in, and the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in Hamburg, Germany, on the sidelines of the G20 summit. India has become the fourth largest foreign investor into the United Kingdom. As per the official figures published by the UK's Department for International Trade, India has become the fourth largest foreign investor into the UK in 2016-17. In 2016-17, India had set up 127 new projects and safeguarded 7,645 existing jobs and created 3,999 new jobs in the United Kingdom. India is sharing the fourth spot with Australia and New Zealand, which had also set up 127 projects collectively. The US remains the top investor in the UK by setting up 577 projects in 2016-17. China, including Hong Kong, with 160 projects, and France with 131 projects, have been placed in the second and third positions. It's indeed a matter of great pride for India that India has become the fourth largest foreign investor into the United Kingdom. Somebody is asking me a question. Monica is asking me a question. Sir, which newspaper is best to get all these information daily? Monica, I will answer your question after I finish my presentation. Kindly hold on until then. Thank you very much, Monica. The World Bank says India is emerging as a front runner in fight against climate change. The World Bank has said India is emerging as a front runner in the global fight against climate change. World Bank said that with a sweeping commitment to solar power, innovative solutions, and energy efficiency initiatives to supply its people with 24/7 electricity by 2030, India is emerging as a front runner in the global fight against climate change. Noting that the Indian government is setting ambitious targets that include 160 gigawatts of wind and solar energy by 2022, the World Bank said it's an incentive for international firms to invest in solar market. This is a great compliment indeed, coming as it does from none other than the World Bank. Iraq has declared victory over the ISIS after a months-long battle in Mosul. Iraq has declared victory over the Islamic State terror group ISIS in Mosul after a months-long campaign, dealing the biggest defeat yet to the jihadist group. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi's office said he is in liberated Mosul to congratulate the heroic fighters and the Iraqi people on the achievement of the major victory 3 years after ISIS declared itself the self-styled caliphate from the Mosul city. The operation was backed by a US-led coalition battling IS group in Syria and Iraq, which has carried out waves of airstrikes against the group and deployed military advisors on the ground. In a rare news, Britain's first pregnant man gives birth to a girl. Britain's first pregnant man has given birth to a girl baby. Hayden Cross, 21 years old, made headlines around the world earlier this year when he announced he was pregnant by a sperm donor. 3 years ago, Cross had legally become male through gender assignment. The first man to give birth was Thomas Beatty in the United States in 2008. In a bid to end the stalemate in the Gulf region, the U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is to visit Kuwait. Close on the heels of the British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson's visit to the Middle East is now the U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, who is on a hopping trip to Kuwait, Qatar and Saudi Arabia to discuss the ongoing efforts to resolve the Gulf dispute. A statement from the U.S. State Department said that at the invitation of the Emir of Kuwait, the Secretary is traveling to Kuwait to meet with senior Kuwaiti officials to discuss the issues involving the month-long tension in the Arab region over the Qatar issue. In a significant move, Washington and Doha have signed a memorandum of understanding to stop terrorism funding. Washington and Doha signed a memorandum of understanding on the steps to be taken by Doha to stop funding of terrorism. Responding to the signing of the MOU, the 4 Arab nations said that this step is not enough and they will closely monitor the seriousness of Doha, which is the capital of Qatar, in combating all forms of financing terrorism. In a joint statement, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, UAE and Bahrain said that their present stance will continue until Qatar implements its full demands, and that will ensure that terrorism, stability and security in the region are fully addressed. In yet another news which can be of great pride to Indians, it's been announced that India is all set to become the largest producer of milk in the world. India will become the largest producer of milk in the world by the year 2026, according to estimates released by the Food and Agricultural Organization, a part of the United Nations. The report says from 2017 to 2026, India's milk production will increase by about 49%, and by the year 2026, India will become the largest producer of milk in the world. This is indeed a great news for all Indians. That's all we have news from the international segment. We now move on to the next segment of this weekly current affairs, and that is on banking, economy and finance. The first news is that the Shriram Group and the IDFC are to explore a merger prospect. The Shriram Group and IDFC have entered into a 90-day exclusive agreement to explore the possibility of a merger. Ajay Piramal, chairman of the Shriram Group, said no transaction has been approved by the boards of 2 companies yet. Over the next 90 days, the 2 entities will work out the nitty-gritty relating to due diligence and valuation. HDFC Ergo is to implement the crop insurance scheme in Andhra Pradesh. HDFC Ergo General Insurance Company has been authorized by the Andhra Pradesh government to implement the weather-based crop insurance scheme, or WCIS, for farmers. Those cultivating groundnut, sweet lime, tomato, chilies, cotton and oil palm crops in Anantapur, Chittoor, East Godavari, Guntur, Kadapa, Kurnool, Prakasham and West Godavari districts will be covered under the scheme. The scheme offers insurance cover to farmers against losses due to aberrant weather conditions during the crop cycle. A fresh tranche of gold bonds has been issued by the central government. The central government has launched the second tranche of sovereign gold bonds for the fiscal. Applications for the bonds will be accepted between 10th and 14th of July and will be issued on the 28th of July. The investors will be compensated at a fixed rate of 2.5% per annum, payable semi-annually on the nominal value of the gold. The next news item in the banking, economy and finance section is that the government has exempted the import of aircraft and aircraft engines from the ambit of the GST. The government has exempted the import of aircraft and aircraft engines and its parts procured on lease from the purview of the Goods and Services Tax, or the GST. The Finance Ministry, in a notification, said that airlines will not have to pay GST on import of aircraft and its parts if GST was paid on their lease. The aviation industry had been asking for relief as it was facing a dual levy of 5% at the time of import and another 5% at the time of payment of lease rent. With this announcement that the import of aircraft and aircraft engines will be exempted from the ambit of GST. It's hoped that the aviation industry will breathe a little easier. India is all set to join a global foreign exchange committee which has been formed recently. India will soon get a seat on the Global Foreign Exchange Committee, or GFXC, a newly constituted forum of central bankers and experts working towards promotion of a robust and transparent forex market. The Financial Stability Board, or the FSB, is an international body for global financial system. Moving on, the next news is that the RBI has allowed NBFCs to offer new pension scheme. The Reserve Bank of India has allowed systematically important non-banking finance companies, or NBFCs, to sell and market the new pension scheme, popularly known as the NPS. NBFCs with asset size of 500 crores and above that have made a net profit in the preceding financial year will be permitted to sell NPS to their clients after registration with the pension regulator, or the Pension Fund Development Regulatory Authority of India, PFDRA. The government has increased the import duty on sugar to 50% to support the domestic prices. Government has increased import duty on sugar to 50% from the existing 40% to restrict cheap inward shipments and maintain domestic prices. Food Ministry had proposed the increase in import duty on the grounds that fall in local prices will affect the millers' capacity to pay cane dues to growers. Finance Ministry, in a notification, said that the import duty on sugar has been increased to 50% with immediate effect and without an end date. The Finance Minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, has launched a new taxpayer service module called Aikar Setu. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, on the 10th of July, launched a new taxpayer service module called the Aikar Setu. It compiles various tax tools, live chat facility, dynamic updates, and important links to various processes within the Income Tax Department in a single module. This initiative would not only provide better taxpayer services, but also help in reducing the direct physical interface between the assessees and tax assessing authorities. In yet another amendment to the GST, the government has said that gifts up to 50,000 rupees to employees from the employers are out of the purview of the GST. Government clarified that gifts worth up to 50,000 rupees by an employer to its employees, as also free membership of clubs, health and fitness centers, will not attract the goods and services tax. Also, the services by an employee to an employer in case of or in relation to his employment are outside the scope of the new indirect tax regime. The free housing as part of the cost to company package will also not attract any tax under the GST. This is good news for the employees. In a landmark move, India has decided to import crude oil from the United States of America for the first time ever. India will be going to import crude oil from the United States for the first time in history, and the shipment is expected to touch the Indian shores by October 2017. India has bought 2 million barrels of crude oil from North America, comprising 1.6 million barrels of US Mars crude and 4 lakh barrels of Western Canadian Select. According to the ministry, including the shipping costs, buying US crude proved to be very cost competitive to India. The Union Bank of India has got a new chairman. Kewal Handa has been appointed as the chairman and part-time non-official director of Union Bank of India. Handa is a qualified management accountant and company secretary and holds a master's degree in commerce. Handa was a managing director of Pfizer India from 2005 to 2012. The next news is that the center has decided to clear Amazon's $500 million investment proposal. The center has decided to approve the US retail giant Amazon's proposal to invest $500 million in food retail sector in India. Amazon had applied for permission to bring in FDI into the food retail sector a few months ago, but the proposal got held up because of the decision to dismantle the Foreign Investment Promotion Board that cleared FDI proposals that had to be routed through the government. The Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, the DIPP, the nodal policy for the retail sector, at a recent meeting decided to give its nod for Amazon's proposal. The SEBI has amended guidelines for foreign investors looking to operate at the IFSC in Gujarat. Market regulator SEBI has amended the guidelines for eligible foreign investors looking to operate at the International Financial Service Center in Surat in Gujarat. According to a new guidelines, a trading member of a stock exchange in the IFSC can now carry out the due diligence for an eligible foreign investor or EFI who is not registered with the regulator as a foreign portfolio investor or FPI. GST is not applicable on free food supplied by religious institutions. The government has said that GST is not applicable on free food supplied by religious institutions. The Finance Ministry clarified that prasadam supplied by religious places like temples and gurudwaras do not attract any CGST, SGST or IGST. However, some of the inputs and input services required for making prasadam would be subject to GST. These include sugar, vegetable oils, ghee, butter, service for transportation of these goods. That's all we have in the banking and economy and finance segment. Now we move on to the next segment, which is on science and technology. The scientists have for the first time discovered a vaccine that shows protection against gonorrhea. Scientists from New Zealand have for the first time claimed that a vaccine can protect the sexually transmitted infection gonorrhea. They have found that Men B jab vaccine, originally developed to stop an outbreak of meningitis B, can protect from gonorrhea. The scientists' claim was based on an analysis of vaccination data of about 1 million adolescents in New Zealand who were vaccinated by Men B jab vaccine between 2004 and 2006. Now we move on to the next segment, which is on other current affairs. The first news is that Sanjeev Goenka has been named as the chairman of IIT Kharagpur. RP Sanjeev Goenka Group Chairman Sanjeev Goenka has been named as the chairman of the Board of Governors at IIT Kharagpur. He will serve as the chairman for 3 years. Sanjeev Goenka was nominated by the President Pranab Mukherjee in his capacity as a visitor of the institute. With his appointment, Sanjeev Goenka will serve his second term as the chairman of Board of Governors at the IIT Kharagpur. He had held this previous stint between 2002 and 2007. The Oscar-winning music director A.R. Rahman has been shortlisted for the World Soundtrack Awards. Academy Award-winning composer A.R. Rahman has been shortlisted for the World Soundtrack Awards for his upcoming film Viceroy's House. It's a film directed by Gurinder Chadha, a British filmmaker of Sikh origin. All sound and film track fans worldwide can cast their personal vote for the best soundtrack of the past 12 months. John Joseph is to take charge of as chief of the GST Intelligence Agency. John Joseph has been appointed the Director General of Goods and Services Tax Intelligence (DGGST) DGGSTI on the 9th of July 2017. The DGGSTI is a new name given to the Directorate General of Central Excise Intelligence. It is mandated to check service tax and central excise duty evasion. In a great achievement, or if I may say in a great development, Mother Teresa's blue bordered sari has been declared an intellectual property. Mother Teresa's blue bordered sari, which is worn by the nuns of the Missionary of Charity, was recognized as intellectual property of the Missionaries of Charity on September 4th, 2016, the day the mother was canonized. The Trademarks Registry Government of India has granted the registration of the trademark for that pattern of the blue border of the sari. This is the first time that a uniform has been made intellectual property. We now come to the final segment of this video presentation on the current affairs, and that is on the sports news. Harinder Pal Sandhu has bagged the South Australian Open squash title. India's Harinder Pal Sandhu has won the South Australian Open squash title. In the final at Adelaide, he defeated Rhys Dowling of the host nation Australia 11-8, 12-10, 11-4. It is Sandhu's 8th title at the PSA level and the 3rd this season after winning 2 in Malaysia in the month of May 2017. For the first time in the history of the Asian Athletic Championships, India has topped the medals tally. India have topped the medal tally for the first time in the history of Asian Athletic Championships. In a stunning show of dominance on the 4th and final day of the competitions in Bhubaneswar on the 9th of July, India clinched 5 gold, 1 silver and 3 bronze medals. With that, the hosts ended the championships on top with a haul of 29 medals, which included 12 gold, 5 silver and 12 bronze. Congratulations to each and every athlete who brought glory to the country in the Asian Athletic Championships. Athaya Titkul has become the youngest ladies European Tour winner. Teenaged Athaya Titkul has become the youngest winner on the Ladies European Golf Tour on the 9th of July 2017. At 14 years, 4 months and 19 days, Athaya broke the previous record of the formerly top-ranked Lydia Ko, who at 14 years and 8 months won her first professional event at the New South Wales Open in 2012. The Ladies European Tour was held in Thailand at the Phoenix Gold Golf and Country Club. Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu has won the Sportsperson of the Year award. Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu won the Sportsperson of the Year award and her coach Gopi Chand received the Coach of the Year award. Legendary runner Milkha Singh was conferred the Living Legend of the Year award. These were announced in the Maruti Suzuki Sportsperson of the Year awards. The suspense has finally ended on who will be the head coach of the Indian cricket team. Ravi Shastri has been chosen to be the new head coach of the Indian cricket team. The BCCI named former Indian captain Ravi Shastri as the new chief of the Indian cricket team till the ICC World Cup 2019. Former fast bowler Zaheer Khan has also been appointed as the bowling coach for a period of 2 years. Former captain Rahul Dravid has been appointed as batting consultant for specific overseas tours. Kalinga International Sports City to come up in Bhubaneswar. The Orissa government has announced the setting up of the Kalinga International Sports City in Bhubaneswar in Orissa. The city will be equipped with world-class facilities and will be able to bid for international events like the Commonwealth Games, the Asian Games, etc. In addition, the state will also have satellite stadia in places like Cuttack, Sambalpur, Behrampur and Rourkela. So that's all we have for you in this edition of the Current Affairs between the 8th and 12th of July 2017. And now I'm open to questions from all of you. If you have any questions on any topic, please go ahead and ask them. I would like to answer 2 questions which were earlier asked. One, somebody asked which newspapers to read for improving current affairs. Monica had asked her which newspapers get all these information daily. Monica, 2 things are very important. One is that you must read daily, and for that, my personal philosophy or my personal practice is to read 6 newspapers a day. I read 6 newspapers every day. I read the Hindu, the Economic Times, the Business Standard, Business Line, and the Times of India in English, and one, of course, local vernacular paper for knowing the local happenings. So the best part is read as many newspapers as possible. All these newspapers are available online, and whenever you have the time, you can sit at home and conveniently read all the newspapers. Although there will be repetition of news in various newspapers, but there will be some exclusive news in some newspapers on every given day. So my advice to you, Monica, would be to read as many newspapers as possible. And in my view, these 5 English newspapers, Times of India, Hindu, Business Line, Economic Times, Business Standard, I think these 5 will serve the purpose for you. These 5 will serve the purpose for you. And somebody else had asked, Sumit Singh had asked, sir, how many months of current affairs to be studied for CGHL to be held in August? Well, Sumit, CGHL has got 25 questions on various topics, including current affairs. That includes the current affairs, the history, the geography. A lot of questions asked in CGL, the SSC CGL of the 25 questions. A lot of them are from static affairs. In fact, if you recall the live session which I had on the 3rd of July this month, I had given you an indicative set of 50 questions which might be asked for. And those are all, the answers to those 50 questions are all static, which means they are not dynamic. So it will be a portion of which will be dynamic answers, a portion of which will be static answers. So in my view, you have to be updated or abreast with about maybe between 6 to 8 months of the dynamic set of current affairs, while on the other hand, you will have to be absolutely prepared for the static questions also, which perhaps which could include questions like, which is the tallest mountain in the world, which is the longest river in the world, etc., etc. The answers to that don't really change over a period of time. For that, you can refer books like the Manorama yearbook or books like that to get the questions on the static segment. As far as current affairs is concerned, maybe a 6 to 8 month period will do you very good. I hope I've answered your question, Sumit. Hemant has asked, sir, can you please say more about gold bonds? Well, Hemant, gold bonds are a new investment avenue available for investment by the public. The central government will be issuing gold bonds in various denominations. What you can do is to purchase these gold bonds through designated branches of public and private sector banks, and of course the offices of the Reserve Bank of India as well. And you will be given a paper which says that you have bought gold worth rupees, let's say 25,000 or 50,000 today. And when these bonds are for a limited period, 1 year period, and at the end of the year, when you redeem these bonds, you will be actually given gold in exchange for that. Or you will be exchanged, you can either choose to opt for physical gold, or you can, the value of the gold would have gone up by then, the market value of the gold would be given to you. That is how it operates. Sir, for IBBS, all sections are important? Yes, of course, it is all sections are important. Abhinami said that last week we had a 50 question and answer session like that. Do it weekly once. It will be useful for both banking and SSE. Thank you, sir, for the great effort in collecting those questions. Thanks, Abhinami, for the compliment. If time permits, I will certainly do that as often as possible. Mangala Megal Narem has asked, what is elasticity of demand? Elasticity of demand is a concept in economics, Manglemba, which says that the demand for anything is elastic, which means that beyond a point, it will snap. Beyond a point, the elasticity, if you take a rubber band is elastic, which means that you can only stretch it up to a point. Beyond a point, if you stretch it, the rubber band will break. Similarly, the law of demand and supply will also break beyond a point. Beyond a point, the demand cannot go up. That is called the elasticity of demand. Sharif has asked, what is the difference between authorized capital and paid-up capital? Well, Sharif, I am afraid you have not yet gone through my video presentation on the capital markets, but it's okay. I will explain to you the difference between authorized capital and the paid-up capital. Authorized capital is the amount of money that has been authorized by the board of members to be raised as share capital. In other words, the board of members, when they draw up the memorandum and articles of association of a company, can authorize a certain amount of capital to be raised from the public, and that is called the authorized capital. The paid-up capital will be the amount which has actually been subscribed to by the investors. The authorized capital and the paid-up capital can be equal. In many cases, it is equal. In some cases, the paid-up capital will be less than the authorized capital because the company may not have issued the entire authorized capital to the public. But at no point of time, the paid-up capital can be more than the authorized capital. I hope that answers your question, Sharif. Saujanya has asked, hey Abhirami, where I get 50 questions? Saujanya, please go to the archive section in the events calendar of the banking dashboard of Talent Sprint. You can watch the archive sessions, you can watch the video there, and you will get all the 50 questions there. Krishna C. Mal has asked which magazine and website we should follow for the general awareness with special reference to banking. Well, Krishna says there are a lot of websites and magazines available to you. I would be doing injustice if I name one or two of them. But as far as banking is concerned, as far as the banking knowledge is concerned and the general awareness of the banking part is concerned, I very humbly suggest that you go through my various video presentations, which I have done in the month of May and June. There are about, I think, 75 to 78 videos on the various aspects of banking, and that, I think, should more than suffice for your knowledge. And if you follow those videos closely and take notes of them, that will give you an excellent idea of the banking part of it. Abhinami has again asked, sir, you mentioned CGST, SGST and ISGST in the temple. What is CGST, SGST and IGST? CGST is Central Goods and Services Tax, SGST is State Goods and Services Tax, and IGST is International Goods and Services Tax, where some raw materials are imported. That is the answer to your question. Mangalamba Norem has again asked, please tell me general awareness for SSC. As I told you a few minutes back, for general awareness for SSC, you will have to refer to two sets of reference places. One is, of course, the yearbook, Manorama yearbook, which gives you the answers and questions on various topics of static interest. And, of course, our own Talent Sprint current affairs videos and PDFs for the last 6 to 8 months on current affairs section. Ashish Dalal has asked a question which is a long one, sir. Can you please, oh my God, it's again gone. Sorry, IGST is Integrated Goods and Service Tax, not International Goods and Service Tax. Thank you, Mahata. I'm sorry about that slip up. Thank you, Mahata, for the clarification. Ashish Dalal has asked, sir, can you please elaborate on intraday trading? What is the best online platform to opt for in this regard? Also, in order to open intraday trading, Demat account online. Well, you have asked 3 or 4 questions at the same time. Well, first of all, intraday trading means buying in the morning and selling it before the evening. That is intraday trading, which within the same day you trade. What is the best online platform to opt for in this regard? There are thousands of online platforms, in fact, I should say, for trading in this regard. Choose the one which is best and most convenient for you. A lot of people, DP participants offer online trading. Also, to open trading and Demat account, again, a lot of traders and depository participants offer Demat trading online. You could choose any which is easy and convenient for you in terms of everything. So I would not be able to recommend one or the other for that. Yes, Mahata, IGST is Integrated Goods and Services Tax. I'm sorry for the slip up. My apologies. My apologies for that. Yes, when goods transferred from one state to another state, it's called Integrated Service Tax or Integrated Goods and Services Tax. Farmer need to pay GST. Are you asking a question or are you making a statement? I do not understand. Well, agricultural items as of now have been exempt from GST. Agricultural items like the food, cereals, pulses, vegetables and meat have been exempt from GST as of now. If there are any more questions, I will take them. Otherwise, I will wind up at this stage. Give examples for green bonds. What you mean by green bond, Sharif? I'm not able to get you. Ashish Dalal says, thanks sir, marginal standing facility means, well again Ashish, please refer to my video on banking. Marginal standing facility means that amount of limit which is given to banks by the RBI for borrowing from time to time. That is called marginal standing facilities. Detailed account of marginal standing facility has been explained by me in my banking video, which you can watch on the banking dashboard. Sir, you mentioned 6 to 8 months dynamic current affairs are important for SSC. What about IPBS? I'm sure the same 6 to 8 months will do good, Prathamesh. Mohit Wankade has asked, what do you mean by leverage in banking? Leverage in banking, well, leverage is leverage, where you kind of use, for example, let's say a company has got 1 lakh or 1 crore as its authorized capital and is able to turn the capital 3 times over in terms of its output. That is called leveraging of the capital. The same thing is used in banking as well. Swayog e-learning is mobile app, yes. Sir, where do we get materials for static GAs? Asked Rajesh. I just told you, Rajesh, one of the best reference books on static general awareness is the Manorama yearbook, which is published by the Malayalam Manorama group of publications. And it's indeed a very good reference point for static general awareness. I just answered you, Mohit, what is meant by leverage in banking. Well, if there are no more questions, I would like to wind up this session now. Thank you one and all for joining me on this live session on current affairs. Until I see you the next time around, it's bye from me for now. Take care and have a great week ahead. Thank you very much and goodbye.